What was Wajackoya's last rank in the police force? It's a bit hard to explain to somebody who has not been in the disciplined forces, but I'll try. Wajackoya left the police service as an inspector. Was he an inspector? This is what I'm trying to explain. In the police service, we had, nowadays I think there is some changes, we had 3 ranks in the police service that were in the inspectorate. First of all, there was chief inspector, who had 3 pips. Then we had inspector, who had 2 pips. Lastly, we had a sub-inspector who had 1 pip. When Wajackoya left service, he was a sub-inspector with 1 pip. Now, we used to have 2 types of sub-inspectors. We had those cadets who were, let's say, graduates who joined the police straight away to the rank of inspector. They had 1 pip. They were called cadet inspector. Within the police service, he would introduce himself as a cadet inspector. We had the same person, somebody with the same 1 pip, but this is somebody who used to be a police officer of a lower rank, who had attended an inspector's course, a promotional inspector course. That one would be called acting inspector. Now, for anybody who used to have 1 pip, that was an inspector on probation. If you are an inspector who is on probation and you are to be sacked, there are 2 ways you'd be sacked. If you are a cadet inspector, you are sacked, you go back to what you used to be before you became an inspector. And that is a civilian. You have reverted back to civilian life. But if you are a subordinate police officer who has attended inspector's course, promotion course, and you messed up, you reverted to your former rank. Now, we had some inspectors who were senior sergeants before they were made acting inspector. So you'd revert back to senior sergeant. We had some inspectors who were sergeants. You would revert back to sergeant. I know of an inspector in Kapenguria in January 1988 who reverted back to sergeant. We also have an inspector whom people mistook. This inspector was manning a roadblock around Kenya National Library roundabout. I don't know whether you can call it roundabout. Then he mishandled a lady. This lady was the daughter of the overall police boss. He mishandled her because she was not in the wrong, although some people interpreted. You see, that is the problem we, children of senior police officers, used to have. If anything happens to you, they say, because now this lady was mistreated, and people said that action was taken because she was the daughter of overall police boss. Does it mean that if she's a daughter of an overall police boss, whatever happens to her, she should not do whatever? But then this inspector who mishandled her at Kenya National Library was a Form 6 who had attended inspector's course. So when he was to revert back to his former rank was constable. So he reverted back to constable and transferred to Turkana. When you used to be made an acting inspector, the letter of appointment used to come. It was not a letter written promotion. No. It used to be written like me. Okay, let me talk about myself. It was written to me, Constable James Lando Hwatenge, You have been up. It used to be written. The heading used to read, appointment letter, then underline. So it would be written to James Lando Wajackoya. You have been appointed to act as an inspector of police with the effect from such and such a date. So this is a junior officer acting as an inspector. So when you mess the way the cases have given of that sergeant, of that inspector in Kapenguria who reverted to sergeant, and even that Form 6 inspector who mistreated Kilonzo's daughter, what they do is that they revoke your appointment. You get another letter saying, your letter, referred letter, this and this, which you are appointed to act as an inspector of police, has been revoked, and you revert back to your former rank. That is when the newspapers, and you know newspapers are very good if they are good to you. Wanatengeneza story until, so they say this man basically was not demoted, but it is his appointment that was revoked. What happens when you are now getting the second PIP? When you get a second PIP, you get a letter that is written promotion. So you get a letter, James Wajackoya, you have been promoted to the rank of inspector. That is what happened. Now, coming to Wajackoya, because I had to give examples. Wajackoya was a Form 6 like me. By birth, he was born ahead of me. But you see, he had a difficult past, and he went to school a bit later than me. So he joined the police later, and he also attended the Form 6 inspector's course later than me. And then being an acting inspector, meaning that Wajackoya was a constable who was acting as an inspector. If you doubt me, ask any police officer who was there during those days, atafafanua. Now, Wajackoya being a Form 6, he attended a special inspector's course, and he was appointed to be an acting inspector. Then at music room, which was a room, you see, I understand, you know, Wajackoya has never commented about music room. I may understand why. You see, I'm talking about music room because in any of my handling in intelligence, nothing of music room came to me by virtue of my office. It came out through my, ni kama ile masomo ya tuition. Unapita mtihani because you had a good tuition teacher. Sio ile mwalimu wako wa shule. So it was through my other ways that I came to know about. It never came to my knowledge in my official capacity. For you to join music room, you had to be sworn in, to take an oath, and when you left music room, you had to take an oath. So to him, he may be binded by an oath not to disclose about a music room. We had a problem in the Kenya Police Force. I don't know whether that problem is still in the Kenya Police Service, National Police Service. In the army, when you undertake a very stressful operation, you undergo counseling. And you may even be admitted at Defense Forces Memorial Hospital during a time when they'll bring counselors to come and counsel you and what. That is there with the army. But with the police, hakuna kitu kama hii. You are woken up in the night, you rush to a kijiji, you find somebody burned beyond recognition. You take that person to hospital for postmortem. You come back, major anakuambia kimbia, fanya hii na hii. No, there is no it's called what? Post-trauma stress disorder, PTSD. Police, they don't handle that, and you do anything. So Wajackoya used to handle music room, and they had two lists. There was this list that they were being told, never ever try to dub or monitor this list. And then there was also this list that they were being told, always monitor and record what was happening. But then there was the cross list. For example, somebody on this never touch list is talking to somebody whom always record. For the benefit of that person who is on the never touch list, you are not supposed to monitor. But then here Wajackoya recorded the cream of the never touch. You see, if the most dangerous person in Kenya on the always dab is talking to anybody on the list of never touch, you are not to record. But imagine the two most powerful people in Kenya, Moi and Biwott, were talking. He recorded that. Those are the days when you dreamed that you attended an illegal meeting. Dreaming, yes, unaota. You dreamed that you are attending an illegal meeting, and before the NIS comes to pick you up, you go and report yourself. You go and report yourself and say, in case anybody comes and says, I had dreamed that, please, I brought myself first. And you see, those are the days when you could tell somebody, I dreamed that Moi amepinduliwa. The person goes and reports you, and you are taken to torture chambers. So what happened was, now what Sub-Inspector Wajackoya went through, he went and saw his boss and said that I want to resign. You see, those days, you just tell somebody. There are those who just went home. There are those, I've even seen the newspaper, somebody just goes home, stays at home, nothing happens, and then is declared a deserter. There used to be no effort to follow that person and maybe treat him or her for post-trauma stress disorder. No attempt was being taken. No effort was taken. So when Wajackoya went and said he wanted to, they felt that it is, you see, some of the things, some of the information he came through, some of the experiences he came through would have caused, would have traumatized him. So they just said, okay, let us just release him. But then the police regulations were that he was a Form 6 constable who was giving out, there used to be, I don't know whether it is still there, we used to have a 24 hours notice where you just, if you are of the rank of chief inspector and below, you could resign within 24 hours and they just release you. So he was given that opportunity to resign within 24 hours. But then there came to be a problem. There came to be a problem that Wajackoya had handled the sensitive issues, and they wanted him, they used to leave you, go home, stay at home, miserable life. Then when the stress automatically ends, then you'd look for a job. So they decided to give him a letter of discharge confirming that he was an inspector of police, so that should he look for a job, he does not look for a job as a constable, but he looks for a job as an inspector of police. Then people have asked me why I didn't try to seek foreign. That thing is not easy. And you try, maybe the NIS knows you, and then you become marked. So it was always good to go and stay in Karatina, so where even the intelligence officers in Karatina know very little about me, and I can't interact with you. I know very few people there, so I would stay. But Wajackoya tried once and he succeeded, and he went with everything to the British embassy, and that is how he left the country and went and looked for political asylum. Lastly, and I've always been saying so, and I'll never tire to say, Wajackoya has, is it a dozen degrees? Yes, he has so many degrees, and I want to tell people that all of them are genuine. Why? You see, we Form 6s used to take a degree for 3 years. But we have something that is called mature degree. Mature degree you don't take as long as other people who have just completed school take. So for somebody who has been a Form 6, mature degree takes 2 years. Compare that to somebody 844. 844 takes 4 years to get the same degree. So And 844, when an 844 goes for a mature degree, he or she will take 3 years. So Wajackoya with his Form 6 and undertaking mature degree, it means that in 10 years he can take up to 5 degrees. And him being a foreigner, he was not allowed to work there, but United Nations High Commission for Refugees would assist him with paying fees and whatever. So, and accommodation. Now, if you have to be accommodated somewhere and you stay idle, why don't you take that opportunity to study more? Thank you.